Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. In this video today I'm going to be talking all about my first mythical item that I was able to pick up from the Grave of Curse, as well as showcasing the team I used and how that actually works, as well as talking about a few alternatives and different ways you might be able to do that. But before I get into that, I do just want to say a huge thank you to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring this video and supporting my channel to allow me to continue to provide content for you guys. If you are enjoying the look of the game, please do make sure you hit the link in the description or the pinned comment to get involved today. So, as for the mythical item I was able to pick up, it was yesterday when this happened, so day 5 of the season, and I had just reached the point where I was able to rank for my heroes, and I decided to give it a go and push Grave of Curse to see if I could clear stage 9. So I was able to clear stage 9, and as you would have heard from all of the information we've had on Season 3, one of the most exciting things is the addition of mythical artifacts. So one of those from Grave of Curse is this item here, the Moonlight Mantle. So it is a one-piece effect that has a 50% chance for the wearer to grant 50% increased healing and shield effects. So of course I got this, I threw it straight on my Garius, and Excitement unfortunately is HP percent instead of defense percent for the primary stat. But either way, these are incredibly low drop rates and really hard to get your hands on. So the fact that I got this on my second run of Grave of Curse 9 is... I mean, I should have gone and bought a lottery ticket last night, let's say that for sure. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to explain the team I used to do this. I know it does contain some legendaries, but that doesn't mean it's inaccessible for people who don't have them. The only one I would say is mandatory for the way this team works really is my Vinyara. However, I do have her unbooked. She's not wearing, or she's not got any of her skills upgraded, and the skill timings are based around that. So first of all, I'm going to go through them in order. So we've got Garius as my tank. Garius is built with a high defense build. Obviously, I would love for his defense to be higher, but the fact that he is wearing a HP percent chest goes against me there. So I do lose probably about 400 defense on him from not having a defense percent chest. In terms of artifacts, he's wearing the Gatekeeper's Staff. This is really important to the way this team works. You can replace that with other shielders, or you will just take a little bit more damage and the boss will take longer. That's not actually a very good thing at the moment because this is quite tight to be able to do this on time. So bear that in mind. If you don't have the Gatekeeper's Staff, it is going to be a lot more difficult for you. So alongside my Garius, I've got Ardreth, who is available for Season 2 as the free hero from, well, I say free, quotation marks there, the event hero for Season 2 throughout the second month. So my Ardreth is built in defense and HP. However, she does have enough accuracy to place Witch's Remains. I don't have a huge amount of options for Witch's Remains in this team, and with it being a single target fight, she does do a very good job at maintaining that. I don't know if you're aware, but when she enhances her abilities for 10 seconds, any of those basic attacks can trigger Witch's Remains. So timing-wise, she doesn't always place it at a consistent point, but she does always place that debuff. So if you are running short on options, do give Ardreth a try for defense penalty. But as well as that, obviously she is boosting the healing that the rest of my team receive by 50%. So she is effectively enhancing my Garius to make him even stronger. On her battle skill as well, she does bring some single target healing and defense up as well, which can be really helpful. So next up, we've got my damage dealer for this team, and that is Amon Leda. And so Amon Leda is the new exclusive for the Aura damage type, so the Radiant's new damage dealers. So I've been playing around with Aura quite a lot for the last few days because I think they are incredibly strong early game if you've got the exclusive. So as you can see from her build here, she's only got 4% crit rate. And that's because on her passive skill, she guarantees crit hits at all times. So this is what makes her so strong in the early game, because you don't have to worry about building for crit rate. You can just build all out crit damage and attack and really bump your damage numbers up. As you can see, I was also lucky enough to get a pair of crit damage gloves at Legendary. However, they are terrible. They will go as soon as I can replace them. But the amount of stats they gave me for the time being were better than the epics I was able to pick up. In terms of artifacts, she's wearing the Eyeball of the Giant to just increase the ultimate damage. I would love to have her exclusive artifact, but I've not been lucky enough to pull 2. I was lucky enough to pull 1, if I'm honest. Next up, we've got my second damage dealer, and that is Dragonheir. Many of you may recognise this hero from helping us at the end of Season 2 on Mecha Talk. So my Dragonheir is built as a standard damage dealer with crit rate and some crit damage. I can't really get much at the moment. and obviously attack percent. She's wearing the Revatrix's Roots artifact from completing Fae Meander in Season 2, which, given the fact she's an epic, she gets a huge amount of attack from this. And in terms of gear, she's just wearing basic sets, so crit rate and skill haste, as much as the skill haste really isn't very important here. Next up, we've got Vinyara. So Vinyara is really important to this team. She is the buff stripper. She is my attack penalty in time for the boss's ultimate hit. And she makes it all tick and all of it work. So I've got her built with a decent amount of accuracy and then just some defensive stats. In terms of artifacts, I do have her in the Rift Hourglass. The reason for this is the skill haste it provides me allows my team to take their turns at the right, use their abilities at the right time, and I base the team around skill timing wise. I wanted to make sure I was stripping the buff before the boss's second skill because that hits incredibly hard on your tank this season. So yeah, that is the reason Vinyara is wearing the Rift Hourglass. So as I mentioned at the start as well, she is not booked, so her skills have not been upgraded at all. I'm just going to save this gear a sec. In terms of aura, I'm wearing we're using the Vinyara aura for 50 more accuracy. The reason for that is the boss does have 220 recommended accuracy. So hitting that at this early on is quite difficult without sacrificing a lot of other stats. So I'm using that just to top it up a little bit. I could probably get away with not and using food buffs instead, but I don't want to have to keep maintaining that when I'm just trying to do my runs. So just to quickly talk through the boss's skills. So the boss's first skill is it dispels all of its debuffs and applies 30% attack up and 30% crit damage up for 18 seconds. So these debuffs are really important, and the fact that it dispels all of its debuffs means you can't use buff prohibition for this. You need to remove the buffs. On the next skill, so it dispels a shield from the current enemy and deals necrotic damage to them. It does hit incredibly hard on your tank, but the most important skill that we worry about here is the Vampiric Shield. So the boss deals necrotic damage to all enemies and converts 240% of the damage to a shield or equal value for 20 seconds. Whenever the hero has a buff, this spell ignores the enemy's immortality and invincibility. So what you need to do on this boss is ensure that you are taking as little possible damage from this skill to reduce the shield the boss is getting. Otherwise, simply you will run out of time and won't kill the boss. However, if you let that boss hit you without attack penalty with the buffs it gives you, you're just going to die. Nothing you do is going to keep you alive through that. The boss hits so hard. So bringing somebody who can remove these buffs as well as apply attack penalty before this skill goes out is so vital, and that's where Vinyara excels. She's a bit of a cheat code for this boss, if I'm honest. So in terms of skill timings, if we have a look here, as you can see, I've got my Garius and my Ardreth timed to go just before the boss uses its ultimate skill. So it is on an 18-second rotation, so I've got to make sure that my cooldowns are under 18 seconds, and that's why the casting interval is set at 18 as well. Outside of that, I've got Vinyara on an 18-second interval. However, her first skill timing is perfect. I don't need to change that at all. It works wonders, so we'll show that in just a second. As for my damage dealers, they are doing as they please. There's no point really timing them because they have under an 18-second cooldown. They're not going to sync up with anybody else. Over an 18-second cooldown, so they're just going to desync constantly, so it's easier for me to let them run free and do what they need to do. So let's jump into the run and we'll talk about how it actually plays out. So as you can see here, on the first skill, the boss is going to gain its buffs, and then just before the second skill actually goes off, getting some damage out first. So just before this skill triggers, Vinyara strips those buffs and places attack penalty. So she does also knock the ultimate meter back, which in most situations is brilliant because it allows you to rotate your skills further, for a longer period over each boss rotation. However, on this, I had enough skill haste on my heroes to get their skills under 18 seconds, so it wasn't necessary. So I could have waited till later in the ability bar to use that skill, but having it go straight away at the start of the skill made timing so much easier. So as for the boss's final attack, as obviously I've just spoken over that, but the buffs come in here on the first attack. Buffs get stripped on the second attack. As you can see, we didn't get both of them here. And then on the third attack, the shields go out before it, and then you'll notice that the boss doesn't get a huge amount of shield now. And that's because obviously we are mitigating most of the damage it deals, so there's no damage to really turn into a shield. So this team does work perfectly. It's failed a couple of times, but that may be mostly due to gear more than anything. This will be a real test here because we don't have decreased attack for this. Obviously, we do have our shields. It will probably hurt a lot, and we'll get a shield to worry about here, but it's not going to kill my team. This is one of the most annoying things about early game, is the accuracy levels to actually guarantee you're stripping those debuffs and placing your debuffs every time. Once we get more gear and we can kind of make sure that's happening more consistently, this will not fail. It will work perfectly every single time. But I've done probably about 15 runs of this and been successful, I think 13 of them. It does seem fairly reliable. As I said, obviously, though, it's not the most accessible team in the world, but I did want to share it with everybody because I was able to pick up a mythical item so early in the season, and I'd love for others who have these heroes or have a similar team to be able to benefit from that as well. In terms of alternatives, I'll be honest, at this current state for this team, Vinyara is not really replaceable. Garius and Ardrith could be if you've got somebody like Adolphus bringing in some big shields before the boss does its ultimate skill. That could work. Damage dealers, realistically, you could use anybody. I'm only using these two because I've invested in them for other areas of the game, and they fit the elemental bonus for this team. However, really, any strong single target damage dealers will be perfectly fine here. At this current point, damage-wise, I think you probably do need two to be able to hit the requirements to kill the boss before the timer ends, but I could be wrong with that. I've not really done testing without two damage dealers to say that for sure. So that is this team. I will let it run out. We'll look at the result at the end. If I'm lucky, I might pick up a second mythical item from it. If it is, please be the same shield and HP one, shield and healing one, but with defense % primary stat instead. That would make a big difference. So yeah, I'll jump out. I'll be back in at the end of the run. We'll let that play out, and then we'll go from there. And there you go. As you can see, the run has come to an end now. Let's see, will we get a mythical? No. So, yeah, so this team is really nice for farming the legendary upgrade materials until we can actually really farm legendary gear with double drops. Till then, it's kind of the odd piece here and there, and lots of the resources to be able to craft some when the forge gets upgraded, which I think is level 28 or level 30 or something. So in terms of the breakdown, as you can see, the damage was split between Eamon Leda and Theo Hein, and all of the healing really came from Garius. You get a little bit from the other two, but mostly from Garius. But all in all, the team works together so perfectly to create the perfect environment for that ultimate skill of the boss, to make sure you're not getting huge shields. Obviously, yes, every now and then you do get a big one if you miss one of the debuffs or you resist attack penalty instead. It can be a little bit hit and miss, but all in all, it's the perfect team for farming some of the gear in the early stages. As much as it's not really a priority at the moment, you don't want to be spending too much time farming gear because you need to be farming things to upgrade your heroes. You do want to make sure you can pick up at least some gear to be able to help you go forward, and you might get lucky enough to get a mythical item like I did. Here's to many more. I hope all of you get lots of mythical items this season. But that is all for this video, guys. So I do just want to say once again a huge thank you to Dragonheir for sponsoring the video, and make sure you do click the link in the description and get involved if it's something you'd like to try. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.